Welcome to Navigating the Mess with me, your host, Leah Nistico. I'm here to inspire you to find greatness in your life amidst all the chaos. Join me while I talk about my real life stories and finding out who I truly am beneath all the challenges life can throw you. Let's find connection in our chaos. Welcome back. Phil is here for yet another episode. He has lived through this experience just as much as I have, so I would like to hear his take on things as well. This topic is not an easy topic to talk about, so it's best I just rip off the Band-Aid. March will be 7 years since I distanced myself from my family. That decision was both an easy and hard decision to make. Let me explain. It was easy in the sense that it was over a long period of time. So it was like 30 plus years of the same things happening over and over again, reliving the hurt and pain from childhood. When I started seeing the same patterns and habits repeating itself over and over, I needed to make the decision for not only me, but also, do I want to bring my family into this? Because at the time, Anthony was under a year. He was almost making it to his first birthday. Do I want to have my children, their grandchildren, grow up in the exact same way that I did? Or hearing some of the things that they would say about me, watching how they would treat me in front of others? Did I want my children surrounded in that atmosphere? That for me was the easy decision to make. That being said, decision maybe isn't the right word for it, because at that time, there was no such thing as like a fad of leaving your parents, or it was something that just happened organically. It was 30 years of pent up anger that I had deep inside of me that I didn't realize was there until almost every time I would go over, something would happen and something would happen. And it was just building and building and building. And I realized that after I had Anthony and I found my voice, it was almost like a protection thing, protecting me, protecting my children, and the family that we created. How it happened was how it needed to happen, I feel. I hadn't gone through therapy yet. I was in a different mindset, and they were too, right? So this was 7 years ago, and I've done 6 years of therapy. I knew I needed to stand up for myself, and I knew that something had to change, because every time we would visit, I would be a different person. I wouldn't be me. I would be a different person there as well as leaving.
It was definitely noticeable after leaving any event at their house that you just didn't seem here with me in that moment.
Yeah, it was a definite learned behavior. Every time I would leave, we'd be in the car driving home and be so silent, but I would be thinking about every single conversation we had there, the entire visit. Did I do anything wrong? Did I upset anyone? When I said this, how did that make everybody else feel? I was filled with so much anxiety about the whole visit. I would be losing sleep over it, constantly talking to you. When I said this, did you see if my mom's face kind of made a what, did she look upset? Because the constant walking on eggshells, I thought that everything was fine. And then we would go back to have another visit and there would be silent treatment, or someone would say something snide comment and I would be so shocked. How come you're mad at me right now? There would be always reading between the lines of every single conversation that I had that night. And that wouldn't just be like a 10-minute car ride home.
No.
It would be the rest of the evening. I would lose that night's sleep, just filled with so much anxiety. That is not peaceful. That is not a peaceful place to sit. I am not a mother to my children anymore. I am not a wife to my husband anymore. I'm in a different place. Totally. I'm not even present. I am just totally in my head, ruminating and thinking and overthinking. I would feel sick. Something needed to happen. That was a learned behavior from childhood, because I didn't know if I ever did anything wrong. And I was told I misunderstand everything a lot. If I'm told that as a kid, I'm not going to understand me, and I'm not going to understand why I'm feeling this way. It's going to feel normal because that's always how I felt. When you talk about things to other people, your husband or your friends, and they go, oh, that's not how I feel after leaving my parents' house, that's not normal.
Something's not right here.
Yeah, that is kind of why it was an easier decision to make for me to go down a peaceful path and not a chaotic one. The day it happened and the way it happened, I feel even 7 years later, I still feel that it had to happen that way because I was a totally different person 7 years ago. I mean, that's all I knew how to do it at that point. That day, I remember you were out of town.
I was out of town, yeah.
It was just me and Anthony. And I think he was like 11 months old at that time. My parents wanted me to come over for a visit. And I thought, okay, yeah, there's no harm in that. I went over for a visit. During the whole visit, there was always opinions of my life, what I'm going to do with my life after I'm done maternity leave, what job I'm going to do, if I'm going back to school, like all those things. And I already had my plan in place of what I wanted to do, which was go back to the job I originally had before going on maternity leave, which wasn't, according to them, the best decision for me. In finding my voice in the year of being off, I did not like the way that was being said to me because this is my life. Whatever I chose to do with my life was not good enough for them. That was just the way it was. It never was. Being a teacher was the best of the best to them. I was told that I needed to go back to school so that I could become a teacher or an ECE. And there was always like, oh, I could get you in so easily because I'm a teacher and I know a lot of people. Okay, thank you. That's great. But it's also not what I want to do. And that should matter. No should be a complete sentence. And I shouldn't have to always explain or over-explain my reasoning. This is my reason. This is my life. End of story. So we kind of got into it. We were kind of getting a little heated and I noticed that. And I said, I'm going to stop you right there. This is getting heated. I need to leave now. I grabbed Anthony, and as I was leaving, my stepdad yelled at me, "This is what you always do. You always take the easy way out and you leave." Well, distancing myself from chaos right now is exactly what I need to do for me. I didn't want to get into a fight. I didn't want to start yelling. I knew that's where it was heading, and I didn't know how to regulate my emotions at that time, and neither did they. So I was alone. You weren't there. It was almost like free access to attack her. My stepdad took my baby from my arms. Now you're triggering Mama Bear. You don't want to do that to a mother. You don't take her baby away from her and force her into a corner to stand up for herself. He took my baby and he forced me to go talk to my mother. That did not end well. When I'm forced into a corner 7 years ago, communication was out the window. I want to get in, get out, and move on with my life as quickly as possible. So how I knew to do that was stand up for myself. And what that means is start yelling. I went back into the living room and lots of things were said, lots of things were yelled, and that's how I handled that situation. Was it good? No. That was me 7 years ago, though. Have I learned from that? Yes. But that's exactly what had to happen. It was a clean break. She knew everything. I put everything out on the table. 30 years of pain and hurt. And what did I get back? Zero accountability. You remembered it wrong. All those types of comments, which just proved to me there was no growth. It's going nowhere. And now I need to distance myself from that because I don't want to live my life constantly in that. So I took Anthony and I left. Immediately called you and was like, this isn't good. This is what happened. I'm not going back. For me to distance myself, I was thinking a couple weeks, maybe a month, just kind of let the dust settle, come back and talk about it maybe.
That was my perspective as well. I think for me, that's what happened in my family too, was take some time, you come back to it. And I was trying to play very much the middleman between you guys at that time, which was not the greatest position to be in. But no, give it some time and we'll be back at it.
Yeah. I mean, that did happen. There was a couple of weeks in there, I was busy. I made myself busy. That's all I knew. I didn't deal with the pain and the hurt and what was said to me, what I said, because both people hurt each other there in that moment. I went right into Anthony's birthday, just pushed down my hurt and pain and focused on that. I knew that they were going to be there at Anthony's birthday party, so I just had to deal with that. After the birthday, you had gotten some texts from my stepdad saying, you guys should come over to visit, like we miss Anthony kind of thing. I did not want to go, but I also did not want to take Anthony's relationship away. I was still very much in the like middle portion of, I don't feel good about this, because it's a hard decision to make. You can't just, distancing yourself from your family is hard. It's not easy. That's all you know. So I didn't want Anthony's relationship to kind of dwindle away and maybe it would hurt him. So we went, but my boundary was I didn't feel comfortable having a conversation yet or talking. If you want to see Anthony, I will be there, but this is your time with your grandson. That wasn't good enough for them. They wanted to talk and pretend that everything's normal and sweep it under the rug. That's not what I wanted to do. It just felt wrong. It felt icky. It just felt not right. I'm not going to pretend that nobody hurt each other. So I'm just not going to talk. And in saying that, what was the next thing said to us was, well, if Leah's not going to talk to us, then she's not welcome in our home. But you guys are. So
they wanted full participation from everybody, regardless of what was said previously and what happened.
But they wanted you and Anthony to come without me. And you put in the boundary, well, if Leah is not welcome, our whole family is not going to go. I support Leah. And if she doesn't feel good about this, then I don't feel good about this. Right? I don't know.
Like that was the point in which I try to put myself in her shoes and thinking like, would I want you to go to my parents' place while I'm sitting on the couch with unresolved issues with them, and pretending like everything is okay when it's clearly not. You have to support your spouse in that particular situation, because where does that leave us?
Yeah, exactly. I know for you, after you were telling me like, okay, we need to talk about this with them. And you were trying to get me to go back over there. And I was very in my, nope, I'm not ready. And in that time, there was emails being back and forth for a long time
between myself and your stepdad.
Yeah. You didn't know how to handle it because you didn't want to tell me either. So we weren't being truthful with each other at that time. So it was literally splitting us up. You decided to get extra help and you went to a counselor outside of.
I felt like that was the only thing that I could do. I knew I was being put in the middle of it. My initial thought was I can be the middleman and I could fix things. I could get these two groups of people back together and everything will be fine. I can get them talking. After seeking outside help, I was told that you're never going to be able to do that as a person. You need to be supporting your spouse in this situation 110%. And you can't be playing both sides anymore. It's not healthy for your relationship. It's not going to be healthy for you and your kids. It's a very slippery slope.
Yeah. You needed to support me. So the email stopped. You put a stop to it.
Yeah.
And the more time went on with not communicating with them was how my decision became final. I started feeling more at peace. There was no chaotic thinking, anxiety, overthinking. That was kind of settling. You know what? I don't want to go back. So over time is how it really happened. I didn't just be like, I'm upset at this meeting, cutting the cord now. It was an overtime of like, I'm feeling more peaceful. Why do I want to put myself back into that as well as our family?
That's right.
And then Anthony's going to have to see all this. And it was just better to keep the distance. I did start going to therapy after to make sure that I'm trusting my intuition and my intuition is right. And, because I didn't trust myself. Maybe I'm wrong. Am I wrong for thinking this way or feeling this way? But there was 30 years of pain there and nobody wanted to take accountability ever. And they always wanted me to apologize for everything, take accountability fully for my entire childhood and everything that leading up to now, which is unfair. There's two people or two sides and two people that should be taking accountability.
That's right.
Really, in healing, I did start taking accountability for what I did, but I'm not about to take accountability for what you did. That's on you to do. Don't project that onto me. If you don't want to hold that, I'm not holding that for you. Sorry. I don't know.
It's true.
When that decision was finally made, obviously the other people involved didn't like it. So this is now part of the hard part of it and sticking to your decision. Are you going to let these people bully you, I guess, in a way, into coming back by the things they're saying or doing? There was a complete smear campaign on my name to family members, like the whole family, all of their family friends that knew me.
Even to me as well.
To
the
you.
emails.
Yeah, to you, about me as a person. There were lots of people who turned their backs on me. They were even going towards my friends and saying certain things, trying to turn all these people on me. So that's part of the hard. And in that moment 7 years ago, I definitely wanted to prove myself that I'm not a bad person. And that's where I sat in. And if people didn't believe me, it just really hurt and I felt misunderstood all the time. But the other side of it is these people didn't ask me how it felt or what I went through. They just believed one side. They decided to leave after hearing one side of the story. I would go out into public just randomly and see a friend of theirs, and their friend would come up to me and just tell me how it is, hearing one side of the story. I'm sorry. Did you live my childhood? Did you live my life up until now, up until the minute I chose to make this decision? No, you heard one side of the story. Think now that I'm this horrible person and you're going to just tell me things about how I should live my life and what am I doing and I'm just a bad person? That is uncalled for. You didn't ask me anything.
It was kind of hard to watch that sometimes when family members make those decisions based on what they've been told by somebody else without seeing both sides of the story, and it was really frustrating and sad to see the effects of that.
Yeah.
On you, on us as a husband and wife, and also that time on Anthony.
Yeah. And I had like a mass amount. It wasn't just like, one person here or there. It was like a mass amount of people turning their backs on me, saying to me that I'm a horrible person and how could you do this? And on what grounds do you have to say that? Like you're not in it. You're not involved. So take yourself out of it. In that moment, I really needed to focus on what was harder. Do I go back to the chaos and the overthinking and how I felt and the pain and the constant hurt, and I'm going to now have to take full responsibility and full accountability for everything that happened that day? Am I willing to abandon myself to go along with everything and just conform into everything that they want? That's part of the hard. Am I willing to do that to myself? Sweep everything under the rug, apologize for everything, and just go on with my life like that? Or am I willing to go down this road, have peace, but also deal with the hard part of everyone dropping like flies right now, just for right now. Everyone misunderstanding you, not giving you a chance to tell your side of the story, and hating you and feeling so lonely, like you have no one. You have no one. You've hit rock bottom. Are you willing to do that for a little bit of time, but eventually find peace? Those are the two. You're focusing now on staying in your authentic self and not abandoning yourself over attachment. Do you want all these people around you, regardless of how they think of you? They could be talking behind your backs, but they're there. And to your face, they're nice. Mm-hmm. But you have no idea how they think of you. Or you do know, you just don't want to think about it because they're around and you feel not lonely and not alone and there's people around. It's fake love. Or do you want authentic people around you who you know are not talking behind your back, love you fully? And you'll find that eventually, but for right now, you need to feel lonely and alone and you'll get through it and you have peace. That's what I was struggling. That was the path. Which way do I go? That was the hard part of it. We chose peace.
That's right.
Peace is what I've always wanted in life. I wanted a peaceful mind. I don't want the constant chatter in my brain of I'm a bad person. I constantly screw up, and those voices are not your voice. Those are learned from childhood, from what everyone's been telling you since you were a child. To unlearn all of those through therapy, unlearn all those ways and all those bad habits and talking bad to yourself. Eventually we will find peace. And we got there.
Not saying it wasn't hard, but
no,
we did get
that
there.
was the hard part. Yeah. That was a very painful time. There was like lots of times where, I would be crying and like it was constant like depression. So it wasn't easy. It wasn't an easy decision at all.
That's right. Are we making the right choice?
Yeah. When we started just living in that, we made the decision, we made that choice. Now we stick to it and we start living our life like that and see where it goes and see what happens, right? When we really started living in it, we started seeing positive things happening. And it just shows us, giving us signs that we went down the right path. Things just started falling into place easily. We started going to therapy. We started becoming stronger as a couple. There was obviously trust issues from like the emails that we worked through. In the end, we stuck together. We found it was better and we're stronger and better together than if we are hiding things from each other. Then we started planning our life and that started falling into place. Not to say like down the road, nothing bad happened. More disappointing things did happen. More families started leaving the longer it went. They just didn't agree with our decision. There was a lot of like, good, oh, here's a bad thing. Good, oh, there's a bad thing. We had to learn how to deal with the bad things and how to get stronger during that. And that's how you get stronger, is during the hard. Life is never easy.
No.
Either decision is going to be a hard decision to make. You got to choose your hard though. Now, if I think back to it, I don't have any regrets about it. I don't have any regrets on my decision. I do see the positiveness in making that decision. I see we chose the best path for us. We do now have peace. I never thought that in growing up in all of that chaos, I never had a strong relationship with any of my siblings. I just thought that's how everyone grew up. Nobody liked their siblings. And like in our house, like there was hatred there. There was no love there for the siblings. We kind of just, you're here, I have to deal with you being here. We're just siblings, but like nobody hugged or nobody wished each other well. And I just thought that everybody lived in the same household like that. Until you take yourself out of it, until you choose to go a different way and you choose to parent a different way from how you grew up. Now I am seeing huge differences in my relationship with my siblings and how our children are together in just a little bit of a tweak of parenting. Our children are like, they have each other's backs totally. Do they bicker and fight? Yes, every sibling does, but they love each other. They tell each other, oh, I love you, or you look so good today, or you're just so cute. And like my siblings saying that to me, no, non-existent. No. That never happened. We just like put up with each other. Anthony will come home and say like, oh, somebody was picking on Luke at school today and I stood up for him and I had his back. And I'm like, oh my gosh. That never happened. I don't know about you.
I think for me, my siblings, there were times, where we felt like we were sticking together, but there was also times where we were very similar to your childhood as well. And I think for me, that kind of brings up another aspect of how hard this is it forces you to look back and see how you were treated in that time when you were a kid and how differently it is now. Sometimes that feels a little bit unfair, but on the flip side of it, you're so grateful that it's not happening to your own kids. And they live in a totally different world of love, appreciation, respect for each other. It's so heartwarming to see that in your own kids.
Yeah, there's no like parents are up here, children are down here hierarchy. Yes, we make the decisions and we need to parent a certain way. They know that we run this ship,
That's
basically.
Right. We're driving the bus.
Yeah, they have their thoughts and opinions, and I would love to hear them. You would
right.
love to hear them. It's not like the adults are the ones to talk and the kids never, they just should be never heard and only seen. It makes me feel good that my children don't have to live the same childhood as what I did or you did. And we're making the positive changes so that doesn't happen.
That's
and
right.
Then hopefully what we didn't do right when our kids are old enough to have their kids, they're going to take some of the things that we did right, use it, but tweak it to their way. And I don't feel like that's a bad thing, you know? And I don't feel like a failure either if I did make a mistake, because we're all human. We make mistakes.
That's right.
But also taking accountability for those mistakes is a huge one. I want to be that parent in my 60s, 70s, when my kids are old enough, if they come to me and say, hey, you know, when you did this when I was a kid, it made me feel this way. I want to talk about it so that I can still come over and we can still have a relationship, you know, and you can see your grandchildren, and I'm going to be like, let's have a conversation about it. I will, you know, take accountability. I will apologize for it. I will try everything that I can to not have you leave our life because we're so stuck in our ego of, well, that didn't happen that way. And you don't know my life. My life was hard when you were 5. Well, I was 5. I'm not going to know what your life was like.
That's right.
I just know what my life was like and what it made me feel like. Having a conversation when your kid is 20 or 30 is crucial to just listen to them, not be in your ego and not be so like reactive.
Yeah,
it's going to be triggering because you don't want to make a mistake, as you don't want to hear that you've made a mistake. That hurts you, that you hurt your kid in some way. Like it's got to.
We're not so self-righteous in the sense that we think
never
that,
make
that,
a mistake.
that we never make a mistake, and what we're doing and how we're parenting the kids is perfect.
No.
And we're not going to have a conversation like this when
I'm
they're
sure.
older. I'm sure they're going to come to us at some point and say, when you did this, it made me feel like this, and that's going to be tough.
I didn't want to hurt my kid in that way, but I don't want to be stuck in my ego to be like, I would much rather you leave than me have to deal with the pain of me hurting you in that moment.
That's right. And we also don't want to put our kids in the position of having to leave.
That's painful for a child to have to leave your parents. That is painful. Family should be stuck together, right? And love each other and not have to hide things or talk behind people's backs, any of that stuff. I don't agree with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want my kids growing up in that and having to overthink, have anxiety. I don't want that for them. I want them to live a peaceful or as peaceful of a life as they can until they're out on their own.
That's right.
And they'll find a peaceful partner, right?
That's right.
Because what you learn in childhood, you're going to try and find out in partners. And if it's chaotic, you better believe they're going to be finding a chaotic partner.
I think I would much rather have to make the decision to hear out my kid and what they have to say, make positive change, make amends, make positive change from that, than make the decision to say, you're wrong. This didn't happen that way. You're remembering it wrong.
Yeah.
And I want to be right and have them walk away. That it makes no sense to me is why you would rather be right
than have a relationship with your family.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
To at least hear them out and what they have to say.
So in saying all of this, there is easy and hard in making this decision. In some cases, like mine, it wasn't a decision. It just organically happened that way. Over time, you find the peace.
We're also not saying that this is a decision that every person has to make in your life. It's not something that should be taken lightly.
No. You know? And it's not a fad.
No. I feel like a lot of people think that this is just taking the easy way out and, running from your problems or something. It's extremely hard for us too. Yeah. It's not something that we knew that we wanted to do right out of the gate. It was very, very difficult to make that decision.
Especially with children involved.
Yeah.
But that's what I had to really think about, is what I wanted my children's life to be. And so that's how I made the decision. I mean, no regrets.
There's been a lot more positive out of it than negative. That's for sure.
Yeah. Thank you for joining me on Navigating the Mess. Hopefully some of this resonated with you. If so, please hit the like and subscribe button or leave a comment. I would love to share the comments every episode. See See you next week, same time, same place.